you what Rev is gonna give you, what Ben is gonna give you, what all three are gonna give you. The Big D. Chico's gonna give you what Rev is gonna give you, what Ben is gonna give you, what all three are gonna give you. The Big D. Chico, Rev, and Ben, yep, they're at it again. Breaking down the team, putting stats up in your head. Nothing left unsaid, they're leaving it all on the field. Just like the favorite team, raising 2 cups and will shield. The knowledge is real for a trio so true to representing the gray, red, white, and blue. And you love them too, that you can't deny. So just one time, let me hear Dallas till I die. Chico's gonna give you what Rev is gonna give you, what Ben is gonna give you, what all three are gonna give you. The Big D. Chico's gonna give you what Rev is gonna give you, what Ben is gonna give you, what all three are gonna give you. The Big D. Soccer podcast?
Welcome to Big D After Dark on this fine evening as we celebrate and enter into some Pepi Appreciation Hour with FC Dallas's 2-1 home victory against the almost league leading, Eastern Conference leading New England Revolution. Big game from Pepi, from Jesus Ferreira, from Justin Che. We've got a lot to talk about. Is the team back on track? Is this the beginning of more? Let's get to it, and we'll take your comments and questions live. This is Big D After Dark. There we are. Welcome to Big D After Dark. All of a sudden, Jose has disappeared. Oh, there he is. All right, good. All right, great. Got to get his scarf on. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the show. We got 7 viewers so far. This is an interactive show, so please send in your comments, your reactions about FC Dallas's home win against New England Revolution. Let's talk Major League Soccer. Let's talk North Texas. Let's have a good time together. My name is Nathan Hill. You can follow me at Nathan J. Hill. And in the middle is Jose at El Chico Carmona on Twitter. And there in the end is Ben Lyon at Bird Turgler on Twitter. Follow us for some good stuff. Say hello, everybody.
Howdy.
Hello, everybody.
Okay, that's good. Hey, we're in good spirits. Last week we did the show, and we had a lot of wistful sighs. We had a lot of just depleted, just lamentations because the team has looked awful. They have just struggled, and we weren't feeling great after the LAFC loss this past week. But then FC Dallas got some of that home cooking. And especially behind the great work of Ricardo Pepi and Jesus Ferreira getting the starts and generating what FC Dallas needed. And the defense did enough, despite dealing with some setbacks of their own. So a lot for us to think about here. And we've got some clips, some post-game reaction clips from Coach Luchi, from Pepi, from Jesus that we'll get to in a little bit. But let's just start with your reactions, Jose and Ben, from this match. Jose, we'll start with you.
Well, my reaction is that you finally get the sense that the team's maybe headed pointed in the right direction. For me, I was excited to see, of course, Jesus and Pepi looking good together. But for me, the things that I like to see a little continuity, a little building up from the few good things we saw in the LAFC match, and seeing them take that and expand on that. And that was, Tafari playing in the back line and looking really good. I mean, he was rock solid in this game, in the win, and he wasn't really that bad against LAFC. You know, he looked solid against LAFC, and he looked improved in this match, and that's honestly what you want to see. Same thing with Justin Shea. He looked solid against LAFC, and he looked much better in this match. And that same thing goes for Facundo, who looked okay against LAFC. He was okay, but he was rock solid in this match, and that's what you want to see. You want to see the new guys that got inserted into that, basically showing improvement. Same thing for Jesus, same thing for Pepi. Maybe that's home cooking, but it's something the team can build up, and that's just something that gives us a little hope going forward.
And Tafari, I think it was cool to see him bring some personality to his position with some style and hair and some it's good to see the kid kind of grow into this kind of situation he's in and step up to the plate.
Can I just add on that? Tafari, actually, his play should excite us because he's looked solid. And let's face it, one of the weaknesses for the back line, and this has been a weakness for several years now, is the lack of speed. You know, that in the back line, in the starting CBs, and to have a guy like Tafari who's really fast, looking solid, looking like a veteran out there. That's good news going forward. I mean, that if they can count on him to be, you know, a third option when one of the or secondary option when the injuries hit us like we are right now, it's exciting to have a center back there that can actually play with some of the speedier opponents we're going to face.
And I think he has an eye for some line breaking passes too. I think he has some confidence around him. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how he continues to grow. And we don't know what this situation is going to be like injury-wise. So, but let's move to Ben. Ben, give us your reactions from this big home win.
Bump on Nkosi Tafari. Dude is jacked. I don't remember if you saw his pictures from preseason, but you know, he's working with like, you know, a 12-pack. He's just a phenom of fitness and athleticism.
Stuff that doesn't translate to the field. So
LAFC, that was his first game, and the difference in confidence between that and the New England game, which New England has the best record in the Eastern Conference. I mean, hats off to him. Let's see more of that. Let's see more Shea on the right side. I mean, like, he's 17 years old. It was his second game too. Not too shabby. And let's see more Pepi. I mean, like 90 minutes a game for the rest of the season at a bare minimum. You know, no more Franco Jara on the field. Don't let him back on the field. Get as fit as Tafari. That way Jara does not come back on the field. Please.
To the point. Yeah, you know, the $3 million a year designated player striker from Argentine is the Argentinian, has 1 goal and 1 assist. Meanwhile, our homegrown 18-year-old striker has 4 goals to his name, and he's and his goals are fun. They're joyful. They're spectacular. They make you get up out of your seat and shout. And then meanwhile we speak about Jesus for getting fit again. We knew he'd be important. It's just a setback. It happens sometimes. Players get a knock in training. He had something with the shoulder. He couldn't do contact. And we thought, oh, I don't know, is it going to take a while? But that first assist, my first thought was like he mishit the ball. But the dude knew exactly what he was doing. And it was a perfect ball for Pepi. I mean, just incredible stuff from Jesus. So really exciting to see Justin Che again play the kid's mantra is something we say, and you know, and of course you got to put him in the right spots. But to see Justin Che come in from his training stint with his loan with Bayern Munich too, the kid's ready. The kid has some poise and some confidence and some speed. it's fun to see him play and to see his confidence grow too. So I agree with you guys. Like this is it was an exciting match against a legit team who didn't really rotate, even though they had a busy week. But FC Dallas had a busy week too. So there's a lot, I think, of positives that we can take from this. And you're right, Jose. Quinón had a really solid game too, and I thought Acosta seemed to do better with working space. Quinón, I think, in this game, not still happy with his corner kicks or free kicks, but yeah, it seemed like they had a better partnership. Would you agree with me, Jose?
I agree. And that's just him basically getting to know the players around him and what they like to do, what their purpose is, where they're going to be, how they're going to make their runs. That's something where, I mean, he had his pass percentage was like 97% at one point or something like that. I mean, that's honestly what you want from the guy in the middle. You know, you want him to control. You want him to control the center and dictate, you know, the center of the field. And he did that. And I think it's the first time we got a glimpse of why they brought him here. You know, the first two matches, you're like, well, I don't know about this guy, you know, but in this match against, you know, I keep wanting to say Minnesota United, by the way, you know, for some reason that's stuck in my head. But in this match against New England, you really got to see some of those qualities of why he was brought here. And hopefully we see more of that consistently, because we don't know if he's a streaky player or a consistent player. But all hope is that we'll see more of what we saw in New England and less of what we saw against LAFC and Minnesota. So
yeah,
very excited about that. I also want to say one thing about,
sure.
I was telling Ben about this earlier, but you know, I'm on Twitter, social media and stuff, and all I see is FCD fans and U.S. fans complaining that Justin Che is a center back and why they're playing him at right back. And in all honesty, in 2 games, yes, it's a short sample, but in 2 games he's played better than Ryan or Eddie have played at any point this season in that spot. And let's face it, if you can't tell me that those guys have played better than in the 2 matches that we've seen Justin Che, then you need to just shut the hell up, because you need to play whoever the best guy is playing right now at that position, regardless, even if he's out of position. Because let's face it, you know, Ryan Holmeshead is better at left back. You know, who else are you going to try there? You're going to try Tuamasi. He's a converted right winger. You know, anyone else that you play there other than Eddie Mundoma is you're going to be moving from another spot, which is all you're doing with Che. And if he's the best option, who cares how young he is? Who cares if he's maybe going to be sold at the end of the year? You know, or they're just doing it, you know, it's a stunt. Who cares? If he's the best person playing at that spot, then he needs to play up ahead of everybody else. And I like what I see from him. He looks fearless on defense. He looks fearless going forward. And the other options we have look good doing one or the other, but not both. And he's the first person that we played there that you don't go, oh no, they're attacking him, or oh no, you know, he's going forward. You generally look at him and see the confidence, and it shows. And it shows around his teammates too. That's my rant.
Ben, is Justin Che long for this for FC Dallas? You think he's gone by the summer?
I don't have any particular insight there. You know, you can speculate from here to the hills, and you could say, well, FCD is definitely keeping him around because, you know, they need an answer at that position, and he provides that. You know, they're keeping him around to jack up the price because, you know, Bayern got the sweetheart deal with Chris Richards, and they're trying to come in with, you know, some caviar on a sardine budget, as a friend of mine would say. So, I mean, you know, like there's any number of motivations why FC Dallas would keep them around. You know, there's also the pandemic, so transfer budgets are maybe a little bit slimmer than they used to be. So, you know, I for one hope he sticks around through the season, because he looks like he can be that answer right back, which that hadn't been answered up until this point in the season. And
in all honesty, if we're talking money, if you let him go now, you're looking at getting Chris Richards money, maybe Reggie Cannon money at best, or you start him the whole season. If he falls out, plugs that weakness that we have, gives Eddie another year to get solid there, and then goes for Reynolds money. I think that's a win-win for everybody.
Yeah.
Such a wide range of outcomes for such a young player, but
Yes,
it's very...
the sky's the limit for this kid. And honestly, I think if the longer he stays in Dallas, the better it is for the team.
Well, yeah, because we want the team to win instead of lose, which is what they did a lot of lately.
Exactly, and we've got a rough patch of games coming up. So, I mean, the more options we have at that position without having to pull Hollingshead from the left side, which, let's face it, needs him there, the better.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm all for that. Keep good players around. Put bad players on the bench. Pepe, get fit so Hara never has to play anymore. Greg Berhalter, don't call in any of the FC Dallas guys into the national team for the Gold Cup.
Stay away from Jesus.
Yeah. All of those jackasses, they deserve Gyasi Zardes, Christian Roldan, Jackson Ewell. Hell, bring Will Trapp back in. That'll be fun. U.S. fans deserve nothing so much as to have Will Trapp back in the picture.
Well, let's talk about the negatives from the game. I mean, I already mentioned Hara coming in, and of course Pepi had a knock, and it's probably wise to manage his minutes some, and he did his job. But Hara came in, and just the drop off was just so noticeable. And Hara puts his effort in, and so I'll give him credit for that. And Luchi was sure to compliment Hara from his effort in practice and his leadership. And I think Luchi's trying to thread the needle on that, but I understand. But the pressure he probably faces. Also, Bresson was our only kind of veteran or real veteran defender out there on that back line, and he was the one who sort of just lost his marker and led to New England's goal. Hard one. It was a tricky run by Gustavo Bau, and so, tough one. A tough one that he would like back, I'm sure. He would like to handle differently. But other than that, interesting subs, but the subs brought energy for their moments when they needed it to help close this game out and keep possession. So all in all, Obrian, I think he's the only other person that we could just say, he started out so hot, and he's kind of struggling to figure out his role all of a sudden. And we really need more from him at moments. It's like sometimes he's trying too hard or just not in sync with the team. So maybe some of that's going to get fleshed out. The lineup has undergone a lot of changes. I mean, what do y'all think about that?
He'll adjust.
I think he'll adjust. Look better in this match. I mean, than what you saw from LAFC or the previous matches where they're asking him to be more forward, more hold up. He did less of that, and I think it improved him a little. He's got a ways to go, but it's something to build on. He did the quick passing off instead of trying to pretend he's a big burly forward who can hold the ball forever, which is what he usually does. He's out there basically as the threat of being able to hit the ball over the top. That's what he's there for, and I think he needs to understand that and find a way to help the team when he's not doing that. I think that's just it. I thought he did a little better. Still not good enough, but a slight improvement. And it's where you start asking what other option do you have there. You can't put Paxton there. Who are you going to put there? That's going to play better than him. And let's face it, all the other options will have as many question marks as Obrian has. So I think Luchi is basically saying, is trusting in him and saying, you know what, this will pay off in the long run. He'll settle down at some point, and I think that's what Luchi's gambling.
Well, let's jump over to Luchi now. So I got to ask Luchi and Pepi and Jesus a few questions on the post game. I'm always nervous about jumping on this post game, especially after a good match like that, where I was enjoying life and enjoying some libations. I'm like, it might sound like an idiot, but anyway, it was good. Luchi was in a good mood, you could tell, but he was focused on the next match and the work the team still needs to do. So I asked him about Pepi. I just asked him, like, tell us about this kid. You've known him for a long time, and what you see in him. And so let's listen to Luchi gushing about Ricardo Pepi.
It's funny, Pepi, the first time I ever saw him, he was 12 years old in El Paso in a middle school field. And I was out there with Francisco Molina. I don't know if Chris Hayden was with me or not, but just saw a kid naturally positioned and with instincts around the goal. And at that really young age, him and his family made the decision to join the residency was living with a family. He's too young. He was too young to be in Casa Club. So, he always had this instinct and talent, and it was about kind of supporting his pathway and giving him ingredients to reach his potential. And he's nowhere near his potential. You still see a lot of things in his game that could be much better, but he certainly has a great mentality, and he has the talent, and he has a great family and a great support system, and it's a pleasure to work with him, because whether he starts or not or scores or not, he's always ready, wanting to learn, and that to me shows he's got a high ceiling. So I'm really happy for him, and I know he's going to continue to be hungry and want more.
We'll leave it there for now. You could just tell. That's why I like Luchi. He's doing his job. He's being professional here, but that bits of his personality and his just passion for these players that he's known for a long time, that he sees their potential. It just shines through, and it's got to be great. I mean, it's got to be great to be a player, to know a guy like Luchi who's in your corner and supporting you and there to journey with you. So yeah, the sky's the limit. We've not even seen anywhere close to Pepi's ceiling, and that's really exciting if you're an FC Dallas fan.
It is, and we saw this in North Texas. If he gets on a roll, the goals just start coming, and that's hopefully what we hope will happen here. We need to happen. Let's face it.
Mm-hmm. Well, then
I remember a couple summers back watching Pepi clean up at the tournament, the Sub Quinceañero for Liga MX and MLS. I don't think they had it last year, but back in 2018, he won the Golden Boot in that tournament. Like, he was just like the best player in the entire tournament. Even though FC Dallas didn't end up winning, I think they ended up losing to like Pachuca or maybe Club America's academy team. But he had like 10 goals in 8 games, or 10 goals in 7 games, or 11 goals. He was just ridiculously prolific. And the thing about him is, not only was he able to score like your classic bully center forward goals, but he was adept with both feet. The team had him take free kicks. Hold that thought. And he'd score off free kicks. We've seen him do that with North Texas. He could do that for FC Dallas. I mean, I've seen Jara and Acosta below those left and right. Hell, line up Pepi and let him take those, because he's really good at taking those free kicks.
That's the other thing that we just still, Acosta, maybe his corner kicks weren't the worst in the world, but we still need more. We need more, and I think the team's got to figure somebody else out. But let's keep it on the topic of Pepi appreciation. I asked Jesus Ferreira, congratulated him on his great game, and asked him to talk about his partnership with Ricardo. Here's what he said.
Well, thank you, first of all. With him, he's a young guy. We have a partnership in the locker room and outside the locker room, outside of soccer in general. I think it's a special bond just because both of us are young. We're looking at the same objectives. It's to score goals, assist, and I think that, showing what we can do together, it's something special. And, when we work together and the team works together, we can do great things.
To the point, Pepi and Jesus were just short answers, but that's good. They're young. But I love the sense that we know about that Pepi and Jesus have a great relationship, not just on the field but off the field, which I think has a lot of the glue that makes it possible why they had such a successful game together. And so you got to think about keeping them on the field together, I think, going forward. Right? So now before we talk about this, let's get to, or I asked Pepi about what Jesus brings to the partnership. Let's listen to Ricardo Pepi.
Jesus, he plays well in between lines. He has that vision of a midfielder. He can play a ball in behind, he can play a ball in between lines. I feel like, that vision that he brings to the team and just being on the ball is very dangerous against other teams. So I feel like he brings a lot of passing and a lot of midfielder qualities into the field.
Short and sweet, but to the point, but it's right. But Jesus seems to fall into this category. He's a striker. He can play that false nine, but he has this vision of passing and finding space, and that's just a real gift that, of course, makes you think a lot about his dad, and what his dad brought.
It's true. And you know what? I want to say that you can see that last year was kind of a transition year for him because they were asking him to play more like an attacking midfielder than an actual striker. And you're seeing that starting to pay off where he can switch between the two at will now, and he can do the passing now. He can do it. He just looks more confident in what he's doing out there. And we're starting to see the Jesus that we saw earlier, before he started playing where he's playing right now. So I think that's just it. It's the confidence that these kids are gaining being out there. You got to take your rough starts, your rough matches with these young players because it takes time for them to gain that confidence, to build that momentum. You see it now with Pepi, you see it with Jesus, and yeah, man, I'm very excited. I think this team is starting to find answers for questions that are out there. Who's your starting 10? Who's your starting 9? Who's your starting right back? Who do you start? Now that Santos is gone, you're seeing the team slowly starting to begin to answer those questions, and honestly, it feels like we're coming out of preseason. To me, it feels like the first 8-9 matches. It felt to me like the team was basically in preseason mode, trying to find answers and failing every other match to answer those questions. And now this gives you hope that they're finally finding answers. For left wing, Brian Hollingshead is your answer. Why not? Why not? He can play there. We know Nelson can play left back, and it worked out against New England. I got a feeling we'll see that again. If Hollingshead is your answer at left wing, then play him there. And I think we're finally getting some answers, and that's exciting. I know I was worried about center back depth and seeing Tafari out there balling out. Once Hedges and Martinez come back, my concerns over depth at that spot will be completely gone. Like I said, answers are coming. Cirillo looked good in 15 minutes. That's good. You want that. You want him to gain confidence also. Back to when the first season he started. And like I said, find those answers. I think Luchi's finally starting to get a feel of where to play people, and hopefully we won't see any of the stuff we saw like against LAFC, where 3-5-2 playing people in spots where they're doomed to fail. Let's see less of that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you got to remember that LAFC game. That's Tafari's debut. That's Shea's debut. Martinez is out there. I don't know if he's right now. Honestly, I don't know if he's been right for a couple of weeks or maybe even a month now. So for them to come back and bounce back against New England and show out really well, you talk about Cerrillo coming on. They close out the game very assuredly. Like I figured that, once Hara came in the game, it was going to be a white knuckle ride for 30 minutes. And, there were a couple of instances where it was kind of nervy, but for the most part, they handled it really well. And, that's, I think, a testament to the coach and the newer players growing more comfortable with one another and growing more acclimated to the game. So all those are like really great positives to lean into. And then, you really can't say enough about Jesus Ferreira. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, like last night was his third game back after, missing, the beginning of the year, after coming into the, having like a really hot preseason where he destroyed Trinidad and Tobago, scored a goal for the U23 Olympic team, looked good in preseason, and then to have that shoulder injury was just such a buzzkill. Oh my God. But I mean, the thing about Ferreira is he gets asked to do so much, and probably for me, like the most impressive thing about this last game week for him is that he played over 160 minutes, and last year he was never that fit. I mean, he was out before 60 minutes pretty much in every start. So he has gotten fitter, but I also think he has gotten smarter, because one of the things that he's done really well that he doesn't get nearly enough credit for is those defensive actions where you can start the offense in the opponent's half of the field and advance it quick with odd man rushes. And he's really good at that, getting smarter at it, adding the vision, and then adding not only the fitness but also not confusing activity with action so he can stay out there longer. I mean, please don't take him to the Gold Cup. Like, get hard to file a one-time switch and take him, Greg Berhalter, please.
I was going to say, I'm so glad you brought up Hara, because I know you don't want to hear this, but Hara, I actually thought did really well for what he was asked to do, and that wasn't necessarily to score. It was to basically go out there, help hold possession, help defend, help kill the match, and he did just that. He helped do that. It's not what you want your $3 million DP guy to be doing, but that is something that he excelled at. Now, is he going to be the guy that can come in when we need that emergency goal? Like, you could bring Pepi and he was a danger to score. I'm not convinced about that yet, but clearly they found a role for Hara, not a role you want a $3 million man to be doing, but it's something that he can hopefully build on. Hey, bring him in, help him kill games, and maybe we get lucky and he gets a goal in here, goes a goal there, and starts building some sort of confidence.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you. He didn't kill it off very well, and
you said they killed him off pretty well.
I said they collectively did.
That includes Hara and Cerrillo and Tuamasi. I'm sorry. I know I'm twisting your words a little because I want to throw it out there for him, but I'm just saying I thought he did
I would
good.
be happy to get more granular and point out how he did not.
It's not something you want a $3 million man to be doing. He shouldn't be the guy you bring in to kill your game. That's all I'm saying is I'm complimenting him, but not really complimenting him because, okay, good, you did that well, but that's not what you're getting paid $3 million to do.
You're being nice. I'm being realistic. He did not do that well.
He came in, he provided some energy, but I don't know that his hold-up play was that much better than what Pepe was given before, and Jesus, So yeah, like if that's, but no, I get your point though, Jose. I do get your point that he's got to find his role.
The periphery
My
of a
point is-
black hole.
my point is-
Time advances at a dilated state. And
My
so
point is, Pepe
people
was-
age slower as you get closer to the black hole.
My point was that Pepe was out there to score goals and be dangerous and do hold up play. That's not what Howard was brought out there. He wasn't brought out there to score goals. He was brought out there to basically help kill the game, and he helped with that. Okay, I'm just saying he
Okay.
did well, he did good, but I'm saying at the same time that that's not what I want from the guy. So I'm giving a compliment, but it's not like
I
he
hear
needs
you.
to do more than that.
You're mensch, Tony.
I hear you. I mean, we're all waiting to see what, and we know this team that he's going to start again at some point in this season. That Hara is going to have some role, and he's going to have to do something positive for this team, beyond just 1 goal and 1 assist. He's a quality guy. He's a track record. I say that I've been so patient with him, and my patience has run thin. Now, again, I hope, yeah, you're right. I'm with you, Jose. I hope he turns it around and backs a few more goals, so it's not a complete waste of an investment. But when you go from a $3 million, you have your $150,000, I don't know how much Pepe makes, $100K striker go off, and you get poor production from your $3 million designated player. It's just not great. It's just not great roster building. But hey, we'll see. Maybe he'll turn it around. There's a lot to come, a lot of work to be.
Lemons.
Yeah.
If life hands you lemons, make lemonade. I'm sorry, but Luchi's making lemonade with Hara.
He has to. Yeah, he has to find a role.
You gotta
Yeah.
find a way to make the guy useful somehow. And I'm sorry that's what it is.
I give Coach a great deal of credit and sympathy for having to turn that into lemonade.
There was one point where they played a ball, and on the fast break to him, and he was running against the defender, toward the ball, and it was just, it's like, man, this ain't working.
I just had a crazy idea. I figured out what would aggravate Ben way more than Acosta taking corners. Hara taking corners.
I mean, like, actually, if they're both on the field, I say give Hara a try at it. It can't be any worse. It literally cannot be any worse. He's no good in the box. I mean, like, if he gets on a ball, he's going to miss the goal.
You say that now, but if he was back doing corners, you'd not be happy at all.
I make you this ironclad promise: if they are both on the field and Hara is taking a corner kick instead of Acosta, I will not complain about it.
All right. I'll hold you to that. That's great.
By the way, Ricardo Pepi's guaranteed compensation for this year, $108,000.
Yeah. Wow. Whew. Well, all right. So, shifting over to it. By the way, beyond this FC Dallas match, there was some supporter drama. There has been some supporter drama for the past 2 or 3 weeks with FC Dallas, the supporters groups. Quite a bit of stuff on Twitter if you're interested, including just FC Dallas seems to have a track record in their front office of giving mixed messages to fans, and around things like the smoke and water and beer showers and things like that, which has a way of kind of dampening some of the fan enthusiasm. And I know it's got to be frustrating from their perspective, but it is a little frustrating too, just for someone who's not involved in that at all. Just to see FC Dallas continually struggling to develop a strong relationship with fan base and grabbing hold of a good kind of atmosphere that they want to see, a culture that they want to see take shape at the stadium. Sounded like it was a great stadium experience this weekend, great atmosphere, but when you have a good win and then fan groups are on Twitter saying, we're frustrated. We saw somebody got kicked out because they spilled water or whatever. Like it kind of it just sends those mixed messages that FC Dallas really needs to figure out. I mean, I don't know if you guys care about that at all. I just was thinking about it this week and was reading some of the comments and the messages, and it's a little disappointing to see this repeated pattern. And it can't always just be sensitive supporter groups.
And I like to think that the crowd, which is probably the best crowd we've had all year so far, had a lot to do with pushing that team forward towards victory. And you're basically saying bottle all that, and you want to pacify everybody. I mean, yeah, you're not doing yourself any favor. I mean, let's face it. You want those long-term fans that'll always keep coming, even in bad years. You got to give them something to look forward to. Maybe not a win. They can at least look at great atmosphere and say, oh, man, it was amazing to be in that crowd, even though the team failed. But if you're stripping that from them, then, I'm sorry. You're going to continue to have a stadium that doesn't look full capacity because you're killing people's desire to come to the game. You got to find, okay, sure, you don't want any of that crazy stuff. You need to find a middle ground. You need to sit down and say, we'll let you slide with this if you don't do that. Have, some action communication and lay the groundwork so that then they can, then the sports groups can then build upon that and then maybe come up with some unique solutions. But apparently that's not happening. And I'm sorry, but the Hunts have a history of being confrontational with supporters groups, and there's no answer for that. I don't think that's going to change. That's new ownership. That's where you go, God, I wish they would sell them, and hopefully the next owner will find a way to work with the groups and make the experience very special to the point that people can overcome a bad performance and to some extent, and at least walk away with a good experience.
Let's move to close up the show. Grateful for everyone who's watched so far, but let's talk about this coming. FC Dallas gets a full week of practice and rest, which they need after this tough schedule. But then they have the 4th of July match at home, one of the traditions. Great atmosphere and fireworks after the game. Should be a fun one. Should be a lot of fun. Vancouver comes to town. Vancouver, of course, is struggling, although they just tied Seattle at Seattle, which was a good result for them. A good hard-fought match. So they're not going to be a pushover. What's our predictions? What do we think out of this game? I mean, obviously, it's a must-win at this point. Earlier in the week, by the way, Johnny Nelson in his media availability, he mentioned, when I asked him about the season, he felt like, hey, get 2 wins out of these next 2 matches, and we're back in the playoff hunt. Which doesn't mean it's going to be easy. There's still a tough schedule ahead, but he's right. There's a lot of congestion. There's going to be a lot of teams dropping points. So you get a couple of wins, and you're back in the mix of things if you're FC Dallas. So I feel like this Sunday has to be another must-win at home against Vancouver, because then you hit a whole slate of away matches, which are going to be just tough. You're just going to have to figure out ways. But I think Pepi and Jesus, they continue their tandem, and I'm picking like a 3-0 victory.
I'll go with 3-1. I'll go with 3-1.
I mean, I wish I could be that optimistic. I think they'll win. I think it'll be 2-1. I think they'll do something boneheaded in the back like they did this weekend, and they'll cobble enough chances together to score 2 and win. So one thing about this game with Vancouver is, I've alluded to the Gold Cup. The Gold Cup will be the following week, and really hope none of the 8 players, however many players made the Gold Cup provisional roster. I know it was Tessman, Pomacall, Ferreira, and Che, I think. I hope none of our U.S. eligible players go play in this Gold Cup. which like really sucks because that's like a pinnacle achievement. But God, we really need those guys right now. But one guy who definitely will be gone is Brian Acosta. So we talk about not having him on set pieces, and I'm wondering about the addition from subtraction quotient there without having him on, because unlike Hara, who is just like a sink for the entire team, and I can't stress this enough, he is that bad that he makes his teammates worse, and did like the best thing that Zanota could do for Luchi right now is just to get rid of him so he can't ever touch the field. Acosta offers a lot as a midfielder. It's just as the attacking portion of that is just a total waste. We've seen it time and time again, and so it would be. I think there will be a good result having him out of the equation there for a little bit, and just see what happens there.
I think that's interesting. Yeah.
I could agree with that. I'm not going to disagree with that. Although I will point out that in the match against New England, it was actually Acosta that was deeper than Facundo, who was basically going a lot more forward than I thought it would be. I thought it would be Facundo that was staying deeper. And I don't know, maybe they were alternating and I missed it, but it's going to be interesting, when Acosta does leave, how that affects midfield that has been very inconsistent, So I'm not sure that that's as the good news that we think it's going to be.
Yeah, no, I'm curious, like, just like you. I mean, what's it going to mean to the spine of the team having him gone with, the defensive portion of what he contributes to the team? Is it going to be a net loss, or is the fact that you're not going to see those 40-yard shots that waste better opportunities, or any of the numerous wasted corner kicks and free kicks? Is it going to be a net gain or a net loss there?
And I'm with Tommy. I think I'm all for. I know it's going to make me sad that it happens to our team, but yeah, I think the players going to the Gold Cup is good for Dallas. As long as they don't suffer any injuries, it's good. It gets Luchi to play some other players and find out what else he has, because I think he's trying to figure out his starting 11, but you got to think that he still hasn't figured out his subs just yet, because this is where not having the U.S. Open Cup really hurts a team like Dallas. The U.S. Open Cup is where guys like that aren't getting minutes, like Robert, Slovenia, now that Eddie is basically didn't even make the 18. That's where those guys would be basically working off the rust and getting into form and showing Luchi that they deserve more minutes. That's not happening. So, unfortunately, I think going to the Gold Cup is going to be like that, because let's face it, Dallas isn't the only team that's going to lose players, So.
Yeah, no, it's a great time for Dallas to get back in the season, because all the other teams are losing players, and they hopefully are not. That's what I'm desperately clinging to.
I think Dan Hunt's probably putting stuff in some money in some pockets to make sure that as many young FC Dallas players go to the Gold Cup, so their value goes up and he can make money. Yeah. There you go. There's my tinfoil, prediction on that.
Well, Tommy, I agree with you, Tommy. Tommy, thanks for watching. Our good friend. I do think it's an honor. Of all the ones available, it seems like Jesus is the most likely to get called up, I think, because he's just been so good, and I think we're going to lose him. I don't know that Paxton has done enough yet. I think Paxton's still not quite fully fit. And so maybe it's good if Paxton stays home. He'll need to start. He'll need to get kind of get his feet under him and things. Otherwise, Justin Che's been great, but maybe he gets called up. But that would seem premature, but I don't know. I don't know. So we'll have to wait and see. And Tanner as well. Tanner hasn't had a lot of minutes, so it'll be interesting to see what role he plays. But yeah, I mean, anytime it's the next man up.
Screwed on.
Yeah.
I like to see some of the kids that aren't getting a lot of minutes with FC Dallas be called up. Paxton, Tanner, those are guys that are losing minutes right now, and maybe going to the Gold Cup will be good for them.
Yeah. Oh yeah, take them for sure.
Yeah. Tommy says, bottom line, Dan Hunt, FC Dallas have to do a better job of being ready to play games on day one. What are we now 4 or 5 months of the season, and we're just starting to learn how to play? Quite ridiculous, actually.
Exactly, and that's what I was saying. It's felt like a prolonged preseason. Like they basically were doing stuff that they would have done in preseason. And so you got
reminder. It started late this year.
It did, but it started late for everybody, and other teams have found their answers. And Dallas has simply been the slow kid out the box. They're taking their time, and I don't know if that's by design or what. It just felt like prolonged preseason. It feels like we're just now starting to see the team that we're gonna get going forward. And I know injuries had something to do with that. I mean, let's face it, Jesus wasn't available, so you couldn't just throw him out there. Paxton hasn't been healthy. Now you got Matt Hedges is out, Martinez is out. So I mean, I guess some of it is, to me, is unfair to Luchi. He's got to deal with injuries, and he's got to deal with the owner that sells off his players and brings in players.
Well, let's leave it there. We could go on. We could talk about Shun. We could talk about there's a lot of things to continue to think about. But
we'll have Shun back next weekend.
I know that could be exciting to see if
something. I've changed my opinion on why Shun. We were all wondering why Shun was being played when he arrived. Was he being forced? On Luchi. And my opinion on that is that Luchi might have gotten word that Shun was up for being called up to his national team, and they're not going to call up someone who's not getting minutes. So my guess is Luchi basically wanted to show his national team that, hey, he's getting minutes, he's staying in shape, in game shape, call him up. And I have my opinion that that's always been a team that puts the player first. They go out of their way to help players. And my opinion on that is that Luchi did that to make sure that Sean got called up to his national team, as opposed to not playing at all and they forget about it.
I think it's just because he's really talented and scores a lot of goals, and that's unlike the designated player striker that we have, who scores literally 0 open play goals this year.
Oh, goodness.
I'd say I'm trying to be positive here.
There's no reason to be positive. There's every reason to write everything off.
I agree with the whole Hara being forced, but I think Sean was basically looking out for his player. And I just want to say it's great advertisement for Dallas. The fact that you've got players from mid-level European countries coming here and getting their first national call-ups while playing for Dallas. You had Cobra get his first national call-up at a very, advanced age of 30. And now Sean's making his first national team call-up after joining Dallas. That's great advertisement when you're trying to convince somebody from, Romania, Hungary, Turkey, wherever, to come play for Dallas. It's not going to hurt your national team chances.
All right, well, let's leave it there. Ben, Jose, great as usual to chat about FC Dallas. Thanks for everyone for watching. Thanks, Tommy, for your great comments and questions. Remember, you can subscribe to our podcast wherever you get podcasts. Actually, I forgot to upload last week, so maybe I'll do that tonight. And then we'll be back next Monday in some form or another to break down the 4th of July match and have some fun together. So
much better chatting about FC Dallas this week.
Yeah. So, boy, last episode was pretty brutal.
And I have that week off, so maybe I'll have Alyssa not call me and be a little more chatty.
Okay. All right. Well, enjoy, everyone. Have a great holiday weekend coming up, and let's go FC Dallas. All right. Remember, don't forget to get your fix at bigdsoccer.com. All right. Peace out, everyone.
Ciao.
Good night.